Somewhere, lost in the clouded annals of summer, lies a place that few have seen, a mysterious place called the Unknown, where long-forgotten bags are revealed to those who travel through the wood. Hello everyone and welcome back to the 1 bag per month challenge. As you can see outside, the sun is shining bright, the flowers are in full bloom, and summer just arrived here in France, so I thought, what better theme to choose for June's bag than Over the Garden Wall? Yes, I know, this is absolutely a fall show, even a Halloween show some would argue, but listen, everything is hot and moist and bright, and I seriously need an escape from summer for a moment and back into my comfort zone, sweater season. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm just like a boat upon a winding river, twisting towards an endless shining sun, further and further, drifting away from where I want to be, when I want to be. In fall, I want to be in fall, seriously. Anyway, let's stop with the chit-chat and get straight to it. To be completely honest with you, the theme for this month was originally frogs. I really love frogs for no reason whatsoever, and so I thought that I really wanted something inspired by frogs. I looked around on the internet and had the idea of making a round bag that would look like a lily pad and add a frog and a river lily charm to the bag, so it would look like the frog and the lily charm were on it. But the problem was, I would never wear this. I didn't want to give up my frog idea though, so I sat down and thought about the frogs I know. And of course, Jason Thunderbucker instantly came to mind.
Me?
Not you.
Over the Garden Wall is and has been one of my favorite shows for a while now. It had been recommended to me online after Gravity Falls' last episodes aired, and I found myself lost and looking for something similar to binge. As you can imagine, I fell in love instantly. The atmosphere, the characters, the story, it's so unique and incredibly well thought out that I have made it a ritual to watch it every September now. Seriously, if you haven't watched Over the Garden Wall yet, please do, it's amazing. So the theme was chosen, but then, what to do? Obviously, the apparent choice was to make Greg's bag, and that was a great idea. This bag would fit very well into my wardrobe and would completely be my style. But the one from the show seemed to have 3 problems for me. 1, it's too simple. It's just a plain brown bag which is perfect for animation but not so much in real life. 2, the straps join at the back of the bag, which means that I would need to make them pretty short if I don't want the bag to stand weirdly on me, which is not something I want. And 3, the bag is round, which is super convenient to carry a rock around, but not at all when you want actual stuff in it.
It's a rock fact!
So my updated design was this. A square bag resembling a messenger bag with a rounded flap at the top and straps that would come a little down on the sides instead of in the back to look prettier. To make it less simple and also incorporate some of the unknown into the bag, I would create a pattern inspired by leaves for the straps to look like an Edelwood tree slowly growing on it. Of course, I would still add a froggy charm, who would be none other than George Washington.
What's with George Washington being naked?
What?
For the yarn, I'll be using Drop's Bell in forest brown for the bag, since I have a ton of it left from my boyfriend's hexagon shirt. For the lining, I chose the jacquard fabric since it made me think of Over the Garden Wall. I don't really know why actually. I guess it made me think of the pilot, Tom of the Unknown specifically, with the orchard and all the animals and the vegetables. I don't know, but it's super pretty. And for Word Junior, I'll be using Drop Saffron in Moss Green and Hobby Rainbow 84 in Army Green. And for the name of this bag, well, Let's just call it Greg's saddlebag. For Greg's saddlebag you will need around 200 grams of DK or lightweight brown yarn for the bag and the straps, a 4mm crochet hook, wool needle, scissors, a bunch of stitch markers, some fabric for the lining, a sewing needle and some thread to sew the lining in, and a snap button to close the bag. For Mr. President, around 3 grams of sport or superfine weight yarn in light green and dark green each. Some stuffing, you can use scrap yarn for this by the way, or fabric scrap or whatever scrap you have, a wool needle, scissors and 6mm safety eyes. To begin with this bag, you will need to chain 54 stitches, plus the one to turn, then do 40 rows of single crochet. Once you are done with those 40 rows, you can cut your yarn and weave those ends in. The first panel is going to be the front of your bag. You will then do the same thing for the back, chain 54, chain 1, turn, 40 rows of single crochet, then put this panel on hold. Do not cut your yarn, you are not done. You will now create the sides of your bag. I personally chose to have them measure the width of this pochette that I try to have with me at all times. For me, this meant 10 stitches wide. If you want more or less, that's your call. I would advise though to measure the stuff you usually carry around to make sure that you can use this bag later on. Once you have your number of stitches, you will crochet for 134 rows. This is equal to the 40 rows of the height of the front panel, then the 54 stitches in length, then the 40 rows of height on the other side. You can then cut the yarn within the ends and take your back panel up again. Now, you will add the number of rows equal to the number of stitches you chained for the side of your bag. So since I chose to make my sides 10 stitches wide, I added 10 rows of single crochet to the back panel. This will ensure that your bag can close perfectly once it is fully done. Now, let's do the rounded flap. To make it as round as possible without having to make a half circle that I would sew in, I decided to create rows of decreases. Side note, as you will see later on in this video, this ended up making more of an envelope shape than a semicircle. So if you really do want a semicircle, don't follow that. To decrease at the beginning of a row, you will chain 1, skip the next 2 stitches, then put a single crochet into the 3rd stitch. To decrease at the end of a row, you will stop once you have 3 stitches left on the row below, skip 2, then place a single crochet at the last one. You will do that at the beginning and end of every other row. Your next row will be a normal row of single crochet. So to recap, first row, chain 1, skip 2 stitches, single crochet until there are 3 stitches left, skip 2 stitches, single crochet in the last stitch. Second row, single crochet for the whole row. You will repeat this for a total of 20 rows. If you're anxious about losing count and not knowing where you are, you can put a stitch marker before doing any decreases, and then remember that you decrease on your odd rows and crochet a normal row on even rows. Of course, it happened to me, and of course I had to start over once or twice.
Ain't that just the way?
You should now have the back, front and side panels of your bag. But as you know, there is only his way, there is only the forest, and there is only surrender. So let's make it all with tree straps. The plan is to make 2 of them so the leaf effect created by the puff stitches can come down from both sides and not have one side going up and the other going down. To begin, make a chain of 116 stitches. Add a stitch to turn your work, and then you will follow this pattern. 1 row of single crochet, 1 row of double crochet, and another row of single crochet. You will now create 2 rows of puff stitches. For the puff stitches, here's what you will do. You will skip the first stitch and do a single crochet in the next. You will then yarn over and pull through 3 times into the first stitch, the one that you previously skipped, to create a puff stitch. Then yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through to close the stitch. You will then start again into the next 2 stitches, skip a stitch, single crochet into the next, yarn over and pull through the previous stitch 3 times, yarn over and pull through the puff stitch, yarn over and pull through to close it. You will now repeat this pattern for the whole row. Once you're done, you will turn your work and the next row of puff stitches is going to be a bit more tricky. You will chain 2, do a single crochet in the stitch between the 2 puff stitches at the bottom, then come back into the turning stitch and create your puff stitch. You will then work as you did before, creating the single crochet into the next space between the 2 puff stitches, then making your new puff stitch into the previous space between the 2 puff stitches. It's a lot of words, but it's not that complicated once you've understood what to do. Once you're done with your puff stitches, you will realize that there's a new problem. You have way too many stitches for your next row. I counted and I personally ended up with around 170 stitches. As a reminder, we started with 116, so we want 116 stitches to finish the pattern, which will just be a repeat of the other side. I thought about doing some math to have the correct amount of decreases, but here's a way easier way to do it. You will take a bunch of stitch markers and put them in every 10th stitch of one of your rows below. You should then have 11 stitch markers marking every 10th stitch and then 6 stitches left. Now you will continue working and create a row of single crochet, making sure that every space between 2 markers has the same number of stitches than the bottom rows. 10 stitches from the beginning to the first marker, 10 stitches between every marker, and 6 stitches between the last marker and the end of the row. This will ensure that at the end of your row, you have the correct amount of stitches. Once you're done with that single crochet row, you just have to finish it by making 1 row of double crochet, then 1 row of single crochet, and you're done.
Holy moly!
You now have every part of your bag done. You can go ahead and block it, assemble it, and put the lining in without forgetting to put the button inside the flap and on the front of your bag. I'm not including all of the steps here since this is pretty much the same thing I did in my previous video, so I won't include it in each one, or that might be a bit redundant. Okay, it is time for the moment we've all been waiting for, making Kitty. I wondered whether I wanted to follow a pattern to make this frog so that it would be absolutely perfect, but I thought that I would much rather make it myself. For one, this is the first pattern I've made entirely myself without following anyone else's, so I really wanted to have it be entirely made by me, including the frog. but also because I thought that if I messed it up, it would still make for a super derpy looking and funny frog, and I'm all for that. So to make Dr. Cucumber, you will start by making a square of 11 stitches by 19 rows in single crochet with your dark green yarn. Once you are done with your last row, you will add the eyes. So on the 20th row, do this. One single crochet into the first 2 stitches, 5 double crochet into the next stitch, a single crochet into the next 5 stitches, 5 double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into the next 2 and last stitches. You can now slip a stitch, cut the yarn and pull through. This is going to be the back of our frog. Now we'll be making a chain to attach the frog to your back. To do so, attach the yarn in the very center of the top, so in the 6th stitch of your row or the 3rd between the frog's eyes. Chain however many stitches you want your chain to be, then slip back into the same stitch in which you attached your yarn. For reference, I did 40 and I think that I made it a bit too short, so I would advise to make it 60. Cut the yarn, weave in the ends, and the back is done. Now for the front. You will follow the same pattern as you did for the back, but with the light green yarn. Of course, you won't need to add a chain to this one because you've already done so on the back. Once you're done, we will be making the arms and legs of our frog. Attach the yarn wherever you want the arm or leg to be. Chain 10 plus 1 to turn and create a row of single crochet. Slip back into the frog, cut the yarn and weave in the ends. Be aware that this creates arms and legs that are 2 rows high, the setup chain and 1 row of single crochet, so do place them accordingly. You can always use stitch markers to try out the placement and or start over if need be. Once you're done, you can start again to add another arm, another leg, whatever you want. You can go ahead and block your frog, pinning down its arms and legs to make them sit nicely. Now that everything is dry, you can get your frog, put the safety eyes in, then start sewing it up. Be careful to sew it with each of the wrong sides facing the inside. You will start sewing before one of the legs, do it all around the frog, then stop just after the next leg so you still have an opening to fill your frog with whatever stuffing you want. For the sewing, I used the darker green yarn as Greg Jr. has darker spots on his sides, so this will help create a bit of disillusion. You can then fill your frog up, sew it shut, add a mouth if you want to, and you're done.
You done good, Mr. President. You done good.
Thank you so much for following this tutorial until the very end. This video came out much later than I wanted it to since it's not June anymore, but oh well, there's still not that many people here and I'm doing my best and it's the best anyone can do. To conclude with Greg's saddle bag, I'm beyond delighted to have this bag. I'm not entirely satisfied with the way the seam for the lining turned out, nor by the fact that the front isn't as rounded as I wanted it to be, but I still think that it's a beautiful bag that goes so well with my wardrobe. And I can carry so much stuff in it, it's great. Anyways, thanks again. If you want to see how I style it, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. And otherwise, I'll see you in August for July's bag. The theme for July will be Circe, daughter of Helios, an inventor of witchcraft. Au revoir!